Welcome to Inspire Campfire, a podcast where ordinary people tell their stories of extraordinary adventure. These are campfire stories meant to inspire the rest of us to light the fire within, get outside, follow our dreams, and return to tell our own stories. Ready? Let's strike the match.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Scott Wurzbacher, and today we're going on a bus ride to hear one company's founder story loaded with passion and adventure. Remember the kids' TV series, The Magic School Bus from the 1990s? This was the story of Mrs. Frizzle and the field trips she took on her class in a bus that transformed into a plane, a submarine, a surfboard, and even a spaceship. Well, for some people, imagination can become reality. And today's guest brings this story to real life through Natasha, the hotel bus that has carried 60 eager adventurers on field trips through 16 countries, 26,000 miles in North, Central, and South America. Paul Aubert, a self-proclaimed Frenchie from Paris, France, is here with us today. Paul now resides in Las Vegas, Nevada, and is one of the founders of Noovo, a company that specializes in building high-end custom vans for van lifers. Paul and his dedicated team of entrepreneurs have created a thriving business, and it all started through a spirit of adventure and the bringing to life of Natasha, their very own magic school bus. Paul, welcome to the campfire.
Hi, Scott. Thank you very much. Perfect introduction. I could not think about something better.
I'm excited, Paul. You have like this just infectious energy. And so I got to, before we even get started, I didn't tell you I was going to bring up the magic school bus and Mrs. Frizzle and her field trips. I'm curious, are you familiar with that TV show, The Magic School Bus from the 90s?
Oh yes, of course. I won't say that that's the one that lead us into this incredible trip, but of course, maybe in some of my childhood mind or childhood spirit, I kept that in mind.
I mean, when you told me the story of Natasha, I'm just imagining this magic school bus, like driving around and picking people up and taking them on adventures. It's exactly what it is. I love it so much, and I can't wait to share this story with listeners. So, before we get into the story of Natasha, I wonder if we could just start. Could you just tell us a little bit about Noovo? What is Noovo?
Yeah, so Noovo, and we will dig around a bit more during the podcast, but Noovo basically it's a company that provides camper vans for people who want to be half and full-time living. What we've seen is after the COVID, the combination of two factors emerged with a new target into this industry of the RVs. First is the working remotely. So many people were able to work remotely because or thanks to COVID, and Starlink from Elon Musk coming from giving you the possibility to have internet all the time at an affordable price. That brings lots of new people that wanted to be free to go on the road more after the COVID, where it was a complicated moment for lots of Americans. And so they wanted to take the van and go on the road, having this flexibility and this freedom. So we developed some vans that are not a recreational use, but is an alternative of housing that gives you an extension of your house while you are traveling, working, and playing around. Our customers are a very large range. Most of them are first-timers. They never had any recreational vehicles before. They never camped before, but they are travel nurses, tired about paying rent and rental cars for their 13-week shift. We have entrepreneurs that just want to work from Yosemite. We have sales reps that doesn't want to sleep in a hotel and having a bad rental car. Retired, digital nomads, you name it. So many different persons that want to live and work remotely, but they don't have the offer and the tools that is on the market. So what makes us different is that we are comfortable, well-designed, high technology, and more than everything is a van that offer the flexibility to work, travel, and live on the road.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And what a great summary. I think I heard you say, and I know I heard you say the last time we talked, that you guys really are catering towards full-time van lifers. That's kind of what your niche is. Is that right?
Yeah, I want to give you one KPI that you can understand very quickly why we are different than other companies.
Yeah.
The RVIA, Recreational Vehicle Industry Association, released a number saying that the average of RV owners in the US spend 27 nights per year in their vans, in their RV. Our customers spend an average 180 days in their van per year. So that's a totally new target in the industry that are looking really to hit the road. Some of them, they rent their house, so they have passive incomes. They finance their van, so they have a very low expense for the van, and they just hit the road and go on the road. And I can count you so many good stories of Marcy and Amy living since 2 years in a van. We have Tyler McCumber. He's a pro golfer going from tournament to tournament. So that's interesting to see people. It looks like people were waiting for a company like us to be in the market in order to be able to realize their dream to live on the road.
Man, I love it. So, Paul, so much of my adventure life is inspired by my vision board. Where I think about things that I want to do, and I get pictures, and they go on. And I have to tell you, like, I'm a little worried that at the end of this conversation, there's going to be a picture of a Noovo van on my vision board.
I hope, or maybe of a trip in Natasha. Who knows?
Yeah, I love it. Hey, so one other thing that you said was that one of the big inspirations, obviously there's this whole digital nomad movement and people working from home with COVID, but you mentioned Starlink, and I've talked with people about Starlink before, but for listeners that aren't familiar, wonder if you could tell us a little bit about Starlink and its reliability, because I think that's a really cool new technology that brings accessibility to the whole planet.
I think when you want to start talking about Starlink, you need to talk about the founder, Elon Musk. This guy just like to come in the industry and disrupt the industry. And we're not going to name all the companies he has been working on, but Starlink basically is a way to bring internet connectivity anywhere with a simple antenna. And I think most of the people have seen this crazy satellite launch that we've seen on the sky. People were thinking, is that like OVNI coming to Earth? No, it's just Elon Musk launching this satellite. So you have these thousands and thousands of satellites around the globe that are giving you Wi-Fi all around the world, even on boats. You can be in the middle of Pacific and having internet. Nowadays, in 2024, you need to be connected for your work, for your social medias, and even people want to have access to information all the time. And so Starlink, it's an antenna that you can have either remote, that you can carry around your property or around your van, or you can have it built in on the top of the van or your house. And basically it brings you internet at all the time. And sometimes you don't even signal on your phone, but you can do podcast as we are doing. I should have done that from Yosemite or Zion.
So there's a blessing and there's a curse to it, because a lot of times, we get out on the road because we want to disconnect, and Starlink kind of makes that impossible, doesn't it?
It kind of, the thing is that I think it's a part of your daily routine that you have to be responsible for yourself to say, okay, hey, let's stop now. But I want to have the option. And I think that we have this little sentence in between us that when we book a hotel, we want to have a swimming pool, not because we're going to use it, because we have the possibility of using it. Yeah. And most of the time we don't use it.
Because we want to do that we can. I love that.
Exactly.
That's a great analogy.
And a little story that I say once I was on a trade show in Los Angeles, and I remember explaining the company, and a teenager, 14, 15 years old, asked me, do you have a TV inside your van? And I say, yes, but you have to think that the best TV in a van is the window. You want to look through this window, because you don't want to miss anything while you are driving, while you are stopped, when you can see animals, you can see the beautiful of the landscapes. Moreover, in the US, which is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, use the TV. We use your windows as the best TV.
I'm writing that down, because that applies in the car, in the van, in the airplane, and I'm going to have to remind my kids. The best TV in the van is the window. I love that. That was awesome. Good stuff. All right. So Paul, I will come back to Noovo, because I want to hear about just sort of the evolution and the growth that you guys are experiencing. But there is and incredible founder story that comes along with this. So take us back to the beginning and let's talk about the creation of Natasha and how that all came to be.
I have goosebumps about just thinking about it, because it's such a story that for us was the creation of everything. But I'm going to give you a little of our background first. Is that Benoit and myself are best friends since we are 15 years old. We traveled a lot together with our other friends, of course, but we've been travel lovers. And when we were close to the end of our studies, it was in 2016, Ben was in an internship in San Diego, and I was preparing to work at the Olympic Games for in Rio de Janeiro. Okay. And I went to see him before, and we were in San Diego saying, okay, we want to do a travel at the end of the end of this experience. But we don't want to do only a travel like backpack like everybody's doing. We want to bring a bit of entrepreneurship inside this travel. We want to do something that is a bit bigger than us. It's not just a travel, the two of us. It's something that's going to be above us. That's going to be something that we are not the only players of this trip. And so we were in San Diego. We thought about different trips, and then we saw these school buses going in front of us in San Diego all the time. School buses, and we're maybe there is someone that already converted the school bus. And so we start looking at it, and we found Hank bought a bus, the most versatile bus that we've seen. That was boxes that you could move around. A brilliant architect doing that for a student project. And so we're okay, let's maybe find a way we can convert the bus and travel. I was living in Mexico for a year, in Spain for a year, so I'm totally fluent in Spanish, and I'm in love with Central and South America because they are amazing countries and amazing people. So we start thinking with Ben, okay, let's buy this bus, convert it as a home on wheels, and travel all Central and South America. And the more we're thinking about it, we're like, just the two of us, after 6 months, we're going to fight for sure. There's no other ways. Let's try to find something where we can bring other people with us. And so we start thinking about this project about hotel on wheels. If you are familiar with the charter in a boat, you can book a bed or one cabin in a boat, and that's it. You are with unknown people, and you just travel on a boat because you want to sail, and you don't know, you cannot afford a full boat. Yeah. And so we were like, let's do the same thing, but in the land. Let's bring the people with us and bring them to what we call the ultimate road trips. So that was 2016. Ben went to this internship. I went to Brazil. The idea was to gather money. So we worked during a year to get some funds in order to launch the product. And we worked during 2016, and January 4th, we went to Paris, take our flight, going to San Diego. And I remember, and I will remember all my life, my father told me when he dropped us at the airport, well, see you in 2 weeks. I told him, no, Dad, I'm coming back in 15 months. And saying, no, you won't. You never drove a big bus. You never built any cabinets, neither an IKEA one. You don't know anything about these countries. You cannot cross 16 countries like that. So have fun with your friends. And in 2 weeks, we call them, then we will see that where you're at.
Man, yeah.
2 weeks later, we found a bus in Phoenix, Arizona, AAA bus with Tony. This guy is we love him. He helped us a lot. One of the difficulties was to buy a bus when you never drove one, when you never use one. Which bus we're going to use? And so he had 3 buses: one of 94, one of 96, and one of 98. Even, of course, the oldest was the cheapest one. So we asked him, which one do you recommend? And I was sure he would tell me, take the most expensive, which is not my business. And he told me, no, you're going to take the cheapest one. I said, why do you say that? I said, because when you're going to be in Guatemala, you want to have a bus that everybody can fix. So you don't want electronics in the bus. You're going to take this 1994 Ford school bus, and that's going to be perfect. And he was right. We had some technical issues, and the guys everywhere, people know how to fix these big babies.
Simple is better. Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah.
Simple is better, yeah. And we had no skills in mechanics at all, and we did some repairs on the engine. And we had a way to jump the starter. We had so many ways we learned to use our baby Natasha.
Yeah. And so I want to pause you for a second, because I feel like there's a part of the story that I want people to hear, because you and me talked about this a little bit. But like when you got on the plane to go to San Diego from Paris, you didn't have a bus lined up.
We had no bus. We have no place to start to work on it. The only thing we had was some money, a lot of motivation, and 3 months. That was the visa, the tourist visa. So that was it. We had our clock, click, clock. Every day was one day less to convert the bus. And so we were in our plane going to San Diego, and we did some research before in order to target some companies, but then we had to see the bus. We had to understand how it was possible to buy it.
So you found Tony, but I wonder, what were those first few days like? I mean, you got off the plane, like, I don't even think you had a place to stay when you got off the plane. Is that right?
No, we had one place, a friend's place, a friend that was a French friend that was living in San Diego was in France. So he borrowed us his place in San Diego, a very nice apartment, and we were there for the 2 first week, working on social medias, working on all the itinerary also, because we had already some customers that are booked, that told us we want to travel with you, mainly friends. But so we had to prepare all the itinerary, all the activities, where we're going to be in 6 months, which is tough when you don't have the bus and you don't know anything about how it's going to look like, but you need to prepare it. People are going to buy flight tickets, etc. So we were there and then looking, and we found this place in Phoenix, and mid of January, I would say January 12th, we drove there, purchased the bus, and then drove it back. And that was exciting. When you leave the lot with the big bus, you never drive a 39-feet baby, then you leave the lot and then driving, and I have some beautiful shots that I can send you with the sunset, driving the bus.
Take me through some of the feelings you guys were experiencing pulling that bus away.
It's only excitement. You are not stressed at anything, because as of right now, you don't have any pressure. You're just driving the big baby. So yeah, you be careful when you turn, you just look behind a lot, because you don't know how it's going to react when you turn. But otherwise, it was a lot of excitement and a little bit of stress. But this feeling at this moment was, I was with Ben. He was sitting on the back of the bus, and we were driving. Well, we are doing it, man. We are doing it now. So that's the best feeling that you can have.
Oh, man, I love this so much. Okay, so let's talk about the visa that you had, and because you had 3 months to kind of put this whole thing together. Take us through that whole 3-month period right up until the end there. I want to hear this part.
That's when started the stress, because then we had the bus, we had no places to work on it. And then one more time, we had an angel that arrived in our road. A friend told us, well, I have friends in Encinitas. There are 4 friends living in a ranch. They have a guest house. You can maybe park the bus there. There was only a way to park it, because the first night we slept on the CVS parking lot in our bus. So that was a bit, okay, we need to find a place. And we arrived to this beautiful property, 5 guys of 25 to 30 years old. And we understood that was more than just a parking lot. One guy was working the metal. The other one was a cabinet maker. The third one was a photographer. The 5th one was working in startups. And they had a huge shelf with all the tools and the guest house. And so we tell them, do you think we can stay here if we rent the house, and then we can use the tools and use you guys? Say, yes, of course. So we were here in Encinitas, 2 months. It was 2 months to build like a full bus, to dismount everything and to build everything, and then to leave the country. Because the visa, as you said, it's a 3 months visa. It's a tourist visa that you cannot exceed 90 days. So then you have to leave the country. So we are in Encinitas. We are the 2 friends in this beautiful property, and we know that we have to dismount everything. That's the easy part. It's easy to break. It's easy to destroy. And then when it was empty, we prepared everything. So, okay, now we need to build something. But we had no skills at all. We spent half a day to look at how unlock a table saw. So that was tough. to change a blade, we spent half a day to change a blade. So looking on the internet, trying to find. So we are not very, very smart. And so we started to do the basic insulation, very simple things. And then we called one of our best friends who had his own cabinetry company in France. And we say, hey, Antoine, you have to come right now. We need your help, at least for 2 to 3 weeks, because otherwise we won't travel. We would just throw a mattress and that's it. So he came, and then he brought all this knowledge. And that was the beginning of the conversion. That's when we started building the cabinets. And that was not a funny part, because it was going to Home Depot, and we rented a very bad car, and we had to strap the board of the MDF board or the plywood on the top of the car with straps, and sometimes when we break too much, the board was flying away on the road, and so it was not we were not the smartest people at this time, but that was funny to work on. And then we did the work in 2 months, and the bus was just insane, more than what we thought, what we had in mind, or what we designed before. It was just perfect. And so 2 days before the end of our visa, we had to register the bus. And so that was the beginning of traveling a lot in between Arizona, California, Nevada, to find the DMV that would accept to register a vehicle for foreigners, and of course to change from a commercial bus to a RV in order to have insurance. Okay. And during 2 days, we've been traveling Temecula, we went to Las Vegas, we went to Phoenix, different DMVs, and we find this little town with this amazing guy at the DMV that say, okay, no problem, guys, I'm going to register it for you. Once you have the registration, you call the insurance, send it back to me, and then we're good to go. And I think it was like 18 hours before the end of the visa, we crossed the Mexican borders in the middle of the night, where we always, during all our preparation, we say we will never drive by night. First night, we were driving.
And not only that, but it's the first night crossing the border too.
And the beginning of the project, so you're okay. I was not stressed about Mexico because I spent a year there, so I knew about like how to talk with people, and I knew that it was not that dangerous, and you have a huge stereotypes about the level of danger in Mexico. But still, you are in your big bus driving through Tijuana in the middle of the night. You're like, what the hell I'm doing here?
So, all right. So I want to hear about some of the adventures that you guys had going down into Mexico and South America and Central America. I got to pause though, because like, this is like, I love your energy. And I mean, you're just somebody that just like, you have this idea and you just seem carefree and we're just going to figure it out. Where did that develop?
I think it's a combination of a lot of factors. I'm going to go back a bit in the past too. I was not supposed to do that in my life. I had something else that was planned when I was younger, working for the family business and working in France. I was traveling since I was 20 years old. So for me, 26 years old was the good moment to stop traveling and go inside the real life, as people say that. And meeting Ben and talking with him and dreaming with him was, okay, maybe our life is not that what we're thinking of. So let's try to do something else. So I've been traveling a lot since my 20s. I was living in Quebec, in Mexico, in Brazil, in Spain, in different countries that I loved. And I love this, what it opened your mind. It opened everything. When you arrive in a country you don't know, you need to have this humility, facing like people. You are not in your own land. And so you have to adapt yourself all the time. And I like this high level of adaptation. When I arrived in Brazil, I was not speaking Portuguese. I took 7 hours of Portuguese. And I remember the 2 first months crying because I was supposed to manage 40 Olympic games, and I was not able to even understand what they were asking me. Wow. So I think I liked when you have like the 2 possibility, the 2 track, that is the easy one, and then you have the other one. And I think this other one was the one we decided to choose. And so we were in the middle of the end of our studies, and it was the perfect moment for us to try something. And so we tried to launch this project that was really turned to do something with more people than just 2 of us. We all, during all our childhood, we were inviting friends in our houses, Ben and myself. All our life, we've been really trying to gather people together and to do nice stuff together. And so that was the ultimate road trip with our friends, families, and know people who wanted to travel that route. So that, I think, comes from that. And it's the combination of friends that have the same dream.
And what are some of the, like, I mean, just sort of living in this sort of place, especially early on, this place of like uncertainty, like not knowing what the outcome is going to be, just like, you know, how do you manage that? Is there a trust there that everything's going to work out?
I think there's a trust that everything going to work out. And the more you do it, the more you see that it will never happen as you think it's going to happen. So you understand that it doesn't make sense to project yourself too much. And then I think it's about, I have one thing that happened a lot to me is that every time I have a project, I've been talking about it so much to everybody, to my friends and family, that I reached to a point that I cannot go back. I already say it too much. I already talked about it too much, and I'm on it. Let's go. And then when you're in the flight and you land in Brazil and you don't know what you're going to do, and you're in the taxi going to the Congress Center, and then you say, I don't know what I'm doing here. But then then it's like an avalanche. It's let's do it, and you cannot say stop. I mean, you can, but it doesn't really make sense. And so you keep doing, and you try to learn as fast as you can. But I think adaptability is the term that I really like. You have to adapt, and that's in the real life. You have to adapt all the time. You have to adapt yourself all the time.
Adapt. Okay, so speaking of adapting, let's hear about the how Natasha adapted to her environment. And I'd love to just hear a little bit about the journey that Natasha took throughout Central and South America.
So that was, as you said, that was 16 countries, 26,000 miles. And about 60 travelers. We had most of them that were booked at the beginning of the trip. So we had people who booked, we were in March 2017, and were people who booked to travel in Argentina in January 2018. So we had to be in Argentina no matter what on January 18th. So that was interesting to schedule the full trip and thinking that nothing bad going to happen, because for sure some stuff going to happen, and to be sure that we're going to be where we're supposed to be at the airport to pick up the passengers. And so we crossed the border it was March 28th or something like that. And then we had to travel about 5 days by ourselves. The first story I like to tell it because it's really the first night where we crossed this border, and we were on this one-way road driving, so excited to see our bus ready, and then Ben was driving, and then the road split it in two parts, so it took left and it was in the wrong way. So we stopped, went back, and then we saw far away some police lights, and we're like, okay, it's 3 a.m. we have the cops coming because we took the wrong way. And so they arrived and say, okay, they start talking with us. And I was speaking quite well Spanish, so it was a good way to talk with them. Por favor, ayúdanos, estamos aquí intentando de hacer este viaje, etc. So trying to explain, we are doing this amazing journey and we need you to help us. We don't have money. We just want, please help us. And I remember two guys were there, and one say, look at the other one and say, what are we going to do? And I was like, please help us. And he said, okay, que le vaya bien. Just go and keep doing your trip. And so we kept doing that. God. And it was 4 a.m. in the morning. And then that was the very first relation with the first discussion we had in Mexico. And then I have so many good stories. But what I want to push is that our trip was not Ben and Paul's trip. That was the trip of each people coming every 2 weeks and changing the mindset. I had friends who were entrepreneurs and told me, I just want to do nothing. I just want to sit, do whatever you want, drive me wherever you want, but I want to nothing. And others that say, I want to do everything, every little possibilities, activities that we have here. So I have one customer, another Antoine, that we jumped from a plane, we did cenotes, we did scuba diving, we went to we climb volcanoes, we see some Maya ruins and so many beautiful adventures. But what was interesting is that our adventure was led by the customers coming. Yeah. So every 2 weeks, we have someone coming at the trip, and then he's leaving, go back to France, and then we have another one coming, and then it's a different mindset. So every time we have to reinvent ourselves. We had so many activities with a paddleboard, bicycle, motorcycle, whatever you name it. So people were, every morning, we told them, what do you want to do? So that was, I think, the good thing.
Did you have people flying in from France and other countries, like specifically to meet up with you and spend 2 weeks on Natasha, the hotel bus?
Yeah, that was mainly that. I remember one of our best friend who came. He came in it was in Tegucigalpa. It's in Honduras, and we told him, you land, and we cannot go inside of the airport because the airport is too small for Natasha. And so then you have to walk out of the airport, and we're going to catch you at the light stop, and you jump into the bus. And he was, okay, why not? And he was walking, seeing all this military with big rifles, and people saying, oh, you cannot go out with at the airport. He said, yeah, I have my bus waiting for me outside of the airport. And so and it was true. He just went out, and we were driving, we stopped, we took his luggage, threw inside the bus, and went on the road. So most of the people were landing in one airport, trusting the Frenchie for 2 weeks, and then leaving from another airport.
Trusting the Frenchie for 2 weeks. I love it. How many people did you have on the bus at any given time?
Between 2 and 3, plus Ben and myself. So 4 or 5 people max. Got it.
And how did people book with you in advance? Like, how did you How does one make a reservation for the hotel bus?
At the beginning, it was through. I'm gonna stop for the
For a
noise.
second. Yeah.
And it didn't work, so you're gonna do it again. Sorry about that.
Cool. Yeah. So how oh, he's gonna do it again.
Yeah, you're gonna do it again.
Okay, cool. I'm having so much fun, by the way. This is such a great
Me too. It's nice. I don't know if it's gonna go through. That's one of the good and the bad things working in an open space. You have a lot of noise, but and you are lucky because sometimes you have the three sales that are talking together.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
it's
mean,
good.
that's
It's
what
good.
being an entrepreneur is all about. I get it.
Oh, we're good.
Okay, cool. So how does one make a reservation for the hotel bus?
So that was mainly through Facebook. We had our Facebook page, and then we created a landing page where people can send us questions, but we had no reservation website. It was really like we wanted to talk with the people, and I think it was important to explain them what we are doing. It's not like booking an hotel. It's a bit different. So we need to explain them in terms of the comfort, what they have to bring, what we're going to do. And so that was a bit of a discussions before it. But we were booked, kind of fully booked before we left.
Yeah. And I feel like when I spoke to you last time, I remember that, I mean, like over the course of a year, you had very few days where you didn't actually have people on the bus with you.
We thought with Ben that we would have like weeks just enjoying ourselves. But we had in 365 days traveling, we had 18 days just the two of us. And that was just the moment to clean the bus, change the sheet and clean everything and then put it back and go on the road again.
Yeah, it's crazy. So were there any places along the way that were especially notable to you, and any particular experiences that pop out in your head that happened along the way that you think listeners would want to hear?
We asked, lots of people asked us this question, like what is the best part, the best thing that you've seen or best what you've done, and we like to say that it's not something like the Machu Picchu or the Machu Picchu is beautiful, of course, but the best moments were normal moments. Where I remember I was driving, Ben was sitting on the steps of the bus with the doors open. We were in the desert of Atacama in north of Chile, and it was just like this moment where you get everything, you don't know why, but you have this feeling that is, okay, I'm at a good place at a good moment. I love what I'm doing right now. So there is not like one place I can tell you because there's so many beautiful places. And I think that is the combination, again, of people you met. We met some incredible people on some random places, but that just transformed the moment into unique moments. I remember in Markelia in Mexico where we arrived, it was some small restaurant just in front of the ocean. And we asked him, can we park the bus close to your restaurant? And we pay you just for parking, and if you can have a bit of water, and we spend a bit of money in your restaurant. And he said, yeah, of course, why not? And then we, of course, opened the door of the bus, took some beers and started talking with him because we wanted to hear about his story. And he had 3 or 4 children, and all of them ran into the bus. And I remember one going out and saying, Mama, there is a shower inside the bus. There is a shower inside the bus. So I told him, take a shower, enjoy. And so we had a very, very good relationship, and we were supposed to spend 2 nights there, and we spent a week. That was also the good thing, that we had this flexibility to do whatever we want. So there's so many good stories I can tell you in Patagonia, where we spent the New Year that we were supposed to stay 2 days. It was these gauchos, so that's the very traditional Argentinians that we were supposed to spend 2 days there, and they have 1 acre of Pinot Noir. They were doing a beautiful meal, and so after 2 days they say, please stay 1 more night for New Year. We're gonna have fun, and we stayed there. And they invited us there, and we had like the best wine and the best meat ever. So lots of good people that you meet and make the moment unique.
And what was that like for the guests that you had on the bus? I mean, obviously this is like very cool for you to have these, but you've got like guests that are kind of coming along for this sort of unexpected journey of just figuring it out as we go.
I think for them, what was the most, on one hand difficult and on the other hand more like crazy, is that for us it was normal to talk to everybody, like local peoples, because after a while you are used to introduce yourself, to see the people, to be welcoming, and you want to share that. So at the beginning, they were a bit like, are you sure we can stay here? Are you sure we can talk to this person? Are you sure we can do that? So yeah, don't worry about that. I remember in Argentina, where we wanted to do in Mendoza, where they have the wine region, we wanted to go in the beautiful wineries. And so what we did is that we just ring the bell and trying to say like, can we come? How can we find a way that we can come inside? And our customer said, there is no way they're going to let you in. And then you see the door open and say, let's go, guys, and do the wine the wine tasting where nobody is able to do it. You can have one that is called Catena Zapata, that is one of the best wine that you have in this area. And they open these doors. And I can send you. I have a very nice drone shoot with the bus driving in the middle of all the country, and it was beautiful. So yeah, I think they were not expecting nothing, but they were expecting us to bring them in something they are not able, or they are not even, they can think about the fact they can do it. So we bring them to some crazy spots.
It sounds like the people were very welcoming, like all throughout your journey, the people in the surrounding communities.
Yeah, definitely. And you can imagine when you prepare a trip like that, crossing 16 countries, some of them are the most dangerous countries in the world. When you talk about Mexico, when you talk about Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, these kind of countries are victims of the stereotypes of few people that had bad journey. And I think people who doesn't adapt when they arrive in these countries, they do what they've been doing all the time, thinking they're in their homeland. And during 1 year, we had no issue. Like nothing. The only issue we had, and I like to say it like that, is when we landed in Paris, we took our taxi, and the taxi was very, very mean to us. And then we opened the door, and then a bicycle came and said, "Hey, be careful! What the hell are you doing here?" I said, "Okay, welcome back to France."
So it wasn't until you got back to France that the headache began. Yeah. Wow.
So I think now people were very nice, and I like also to say one story. When we were traveling, the school bus bring this nice feeling from people who are looking at you. First, because when you are in Guatemala and they see the Californian plates, they say, "Are you telling me that you're driving from California now?" I say, "Yes, that's what we are doing." And they're just like, "You're crazy." And then the school bus itself is such an iconic vehicle. And if you think about it, this is the only vehicle that has been the same design through decades.
Yeah.
I like to say that there is the Vespa, the Italian scooter, that didn't change a lot in decades, but otherwise there is no other vehicles that is such an iconic vehicle. And so when we were in Guatemala also, I remember one guy saying, "Oh, you are traveling in the bus of Homer Simpson." Yes, this is the Homer Simpson bus. So imagine the impact of people in the middle of Central America of the bus. So the bus was our free pass to anything, to borders, to everything. People were just, it's insane what you're doing. So
and the 60 people that traveled with you, I'm curious, how many of them did you already know? Like, how many knew you before they came out versus didn't know you? And just
I would say 60% were people we know. Of course, our friends and family wanted, because something I didn't tell you is that when my father told me, "See you in 2 weeks," then when we hit the road and we were good to go, he called me and said, "When can I book a week with you?"
Love it.
And he was very proud. Of course, it was a bit of provocation when he told me 2 weeks, just in order for me to prove him that I can do it. But he came and he spent 10 days, and amazing days too. What was interesting too, it was the versatility of people. We had very young person, but we also oldest one. I remember like a 60-year-old lady who came that was close to the burnout, very, very tired about like our work. And she came here. We had no Starlink, so no connectivity, nothing. And she just spent 10 days reading, just letting people doing everything for her. We were cooking, cleaning, everything for her. And just she arrived and see some beautiful wildlife, beautiful landscapes. And so it was for her. When she came back to France, she told us, "Thank you so much. You opened my eyes. Now I feel way better." For a 10-day trip, it's nothing, but it changed everything.
Yeah. What an incredible experience. So I want to leave time to kind of talk a little bit more about how the next part of the story evolves. What was it like for you to come back? You finished back in the United States, right?
No, we finished back in Buenos Aires in Argentina.
Okay.
And then we put the bus inside a ferry, a boat, to bring it back to Jacksonville in Florida. That
Okay.
was a 1 month travel. When we came back, we went back to France after 15 months. Same, I remember this first time when we arrived, all our friends were very exciting. So they booked a bar in the most famous part in Paris. And we arrived there, the bar was crowded, lots of noise, lots of music. And where we spent looking at each other, well, let's go back with Natasha. It's not for us. Yeah. So we were happy in one hand to see everybody, but the other hand, it was, I remember the sound, like people, like crowded, lots of people together. It was for me a bit stressful. And I understood before we left, one guy told us, you will never come back the same person as you left. And we're like, what does it going to change to us? Nothing. We're going to be the same person. When we came back, we understood that changed us forever.
Yeah, man, I love that. So you will never come back the same person that you were when you left. Can you tell us about that? Who were you when you left, and who were you when you came back?
We were 26 years old, full of, I would say, stereotype in our mind. You need to do that, and this is it's a bit the diktat of the society telling you have to have children at this age, you have to marry, you have to have a good job, you have to. And after all, we understood, no, you have to do whatever you want. And it's stressful, of course. It's not the easiest path, but you can do whatever you want. We did it. I mean, you can cross 16 countries in a school bus that you don't even know how to drive, and welcome people. And I can count you so many stories that after all, you feel so confident. There is one story I like to say about confidence is we were stopped by cops that stopped us in Guatemala, and he told me, you are, I don't know why he wanted to stop us, and he told me, give me your driving license. And I knew that you never give the driving license, you show it. So I gave him, made the mistake. So he was taking it like that, and he told me, this one going to come with me, you're going to the police station, and we will see what we're going to do with you. And I took the driving license from his hand. I said, no, it's not going to happen like that. You know, how does it work? We didn't do anything. If you want to give us a fine, I will pay it to you right now. I will pay you the fine right now, and then I will go keep doing my journey, and you will keep doing your job. And he was very upset, but then we paid the fine, and we kept doing the journey. And that would have been impossible for me before this trip. Wow. So the level of confidence that you get once you are once you're doing a trip like that, that's changed you forever, because you know that nothing is impossible. So that's
confidence. I love that. I love it. And this trip gave you some confidence to come back and continue the next part of your journey, which is creating Noovo. So let's get into that. How did Noovo come to be?
So before Noovo, so something I didn't told you is that we wanted to do this travel, and we said we have 1 year to find an idea and create a company. We don't know what is it, but with Ben, we want to create a company. We had this entrepreneurship mindset and we want it. And so after a year, we received so many demand of people who wanted to travel the way we were offering. We said, okay, we have the company. Let's build the first hotel on wheels on the North American continent. So we came back to the US, bring back Natasha, did all the visa, working visa, creating the company. That was a long path and a complicated one. Moreover, when you're 27 years old and you think everything is easy because you just crossed 16 countries, but no, that's not everything is easy. So we created all the paperwork, and then bring back the Natasha to Vegas, where we are based at. Built a second bus that we called Barbara, and we had these two buses that were basically an hotel on wheels for Europeans who want to discover the great outdoor on the West Coast. So between Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Las Vegas. And so we did it, that was in 2019. We received between 2018 and 2019, we received 300 people that way. So we were doing 12 days trip for $1,200, all inclusive.
Wow.
And so we went, my favorite was, all of them were nice, but basically the Los Angeles to San Francisco was the road number one.
Okay.
San Francisco to Las Vegas was Yosemite, Sequoia Park, Lake Isabella, and then Las Vegas. And then the one I prefer, to be honest, was Las Vegas, Zion, Bryce, Lake Powell, Grand Canyon, Lake Havasu, Joshua Tree, Los Angeles. Yeah. This one was just insane. So we did it I did 10 times Yosemite, 12 times Grand Canyon, and I still loving it. And so we did this tour, receiving 300 people. We even did an event for a French university where we had 100 students. We rented out 17 RVs, and we bring them from San Francisco to Yosemite and back to San Francisco through the Napa Valley.
Wow.
And that was an amazing journey. And I like to count one story where we were north of San Francisco, and they say, "Oh, there is a surf beach. Can we have surfboard and trying to surf?" So, yeah, of course. So we found 15 surfboard, send them to the water, looking at them like that, and then a local came and say, "Oh, wow, you are strong to surf here." I said, "Why? The waves are small." He said, "Do you know the name of this bay?" I said, "No, it's called White Shark Bay." I said, "No way." And so while he was talking to me, I had this 15, 20 students in the water looking at, please, Shark Bay. Don't eat our students.
Get out.
And so then we bring back them. Everyone was good. But so during 2 years, we've been traveling in these national parks, welcoming all these Europeans. That was an amazing journey. And then 2020, everything was ready. All the campground was booked for the year. Everything was great. And then the COVID. So COVID was for the whole world, not only for us, but for the whole world, like a huge stop. So we arrived in the US 4 days before the travel ban, where Europeans were not able to come, were not allowed to come to the US. So we're in Las Vegas with my 2 business partners. We have these 2 big buses, 6 short buses that we purchased to Tony, and a garage, a house with a garage. That's it. So we were thinking, okay, what can we're gonna do with these buses? So we have about $20,000 in the account. We start going to Home Depot, buy everything to build the first bus, start converting it and making it like looking as beautiful as we can. And I have to say that Antoine, who was a cabinet maker and architect in France, did an amazing job. It's just working in this condition. We were working outside in the summer of Vegas. There is nothing worse than that. And he was doing hours and hours and hours, doing an amazing job. And you can check on our website, the founder story. You will see the first buses. And the first bus was Leon, and he was beautiful. So we try to sell it on Marketplace, on Facebook Marketplace, because we had no website. And we received 500 demands. We're like, oh, maybe there is something we can do. So the bus cost us about like $25,000 in total with the vehicle itself, and we sell it for $70,000. Wow. And then we said, okay, let's try to do it again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and the 6 first buses, we had about $300,000. We're okay, that's great, it's working. Let's try to hire our first employee and get a warehouse. And so we found this warehouse. We hired our first employee, and then that was in 2021 when we did trying to scale a bit the activity. So we did 17 buses with customers that were just in love with what we're doing, created a website, trying to do social medias, and the travel agency with the Hotel on Wheels was still in the back of our head, but we are so excited about this new project that we decided to put the Hotel on Wheels on the side. Of course, we kept Natasha and Barbara on the backyard, so in order to just sometimes sleep on it and have it enjoying it. But then we saw that the Class B manufacturing, the camper van dream was very popular and still is very popular. So we decided to move 300% into this direction. And so we had the 17 first buses. And when we sold the first 17, we were able to purchase the first van in order to have a real scalability product where the buses were all the time a bit different, very heavy, no passenger seat. There is a lot of reason why we decided to stop the buses. And so we moved into the first van. And that was in 2020. We did 17 buses, 13 van, 30 vehicle, and we were six person. I was the plumber, Ben was the electrician, and I remember by the end of the first year, I asked the 3 first employees, I tell them, okay, how can we improve the production? And they say, Paul, can you go in the office and stop working in the vans? I said, okay, I understand. I won't work on the van anymore. I let you guys doing the job. They told me, you are good at what selling, but you are not the best plumber we've met. So please let us do it and we will handle that. And that was for me the really beginning of entrepreneurship, where you start by letting people doing for you more than doing by yourself. So you find people better than yourself in each subject and each part of your company. And you understand that you are very bad at everything. You're just good at one thing, is giving a vision and put the good people together. And that's it. That's the only mission that you have to do, to bring into the table when you're an entrepreneur. And so we started hiring. I received 600 applications. We hired more than 55%, and we have now in 2024, 25 employees.
Wow.
So from 2020 to 2024, we built over 250 units, mainly for full and half and full-time living. And we can see that people are so happy with our vans that we have a recurrent buyers. So the first customers 3 years ago are now selling their unit to get the new one because they love the new design we're doing now. And so that's where we are at in 2024. 3 model, 25 employee, a new warehouse, and the future in front of us.
Yeah, this is, I mean, such a great, and congrats on all the success, but it's clearly fueled by like energy, passion, and just a love for what you're doing. What is, so today you kind of explained what the company looks like, but if somebody wants to build a custom Noovo van, how do they do that? Like what are the products that you guys are delivering today?
So we've been doing from 2020 to 2023 custom made. So customer will come in, we do have some basic layout, and then they can improve it. And the main difference is that we are a manufacturer, so we have 3 main models. 2 that are already online. The one that is our bestseller called the Noovo Light for solo travelers and couples. This one is a very, very European design, strong materials. You have a huge amount of batteries. I'm going to be a little bit technical, but for people who knows, you can go up to 1300 amp hours battery. So basically you can run an AC for 5 to 6 days. We have the biggest water capacity in the market, very comfortable and very like well designed. So storage is important. The design you want to have it. We have these curves that are our signatures. So we try to bring this European design into the American market. So the Noovo Light is going to be the one we've been selling since 3 years, solo travelers and couples. Then last week we released the Noovo Pop with the Pop Top Tent. That's for families. We received so many demands from families who wanted to have a 3-point seat belt. They can put a baby seat, a baby car seat. And so we developed it and launched it last week. And you are the first one I'm telling you that, but next week we're going to release the Noovo Plus, which is based on the new chassis from Ram, the super high roof. That's going to be 10 inches taller, so about 6 feet high on the inside. I'm 6'2". I'm very happy to have this huge van that we're launching, and we're going to be one or maybe the only manufacturer in the country working on this one for at least 6 to 7 months. So we're going to release it, and that's going to be a totally disruptive design that nobody are doing in the market. So we have the 3 models. You can select one of them, and then you can either buy an inventory van that we are building in a row. We do 6 to 8 vans a month, and the idea is to increase this production capacity. Or we can do what we call the pre-order, where we work together on the options. If you want more batteries, if you want awning, if you want running boards, etc., and the colors. You can select some schemes on the inside to have a unique vehicle. And then we have financing. You contact us, and then you can hit the road.
Amazing. How, if people want to learn more or want to find out about how they can become a customer, what's the best way for them to do that?
So first is the website, noovolife.com. So NOOVO.life.com. I'm sure lots of people of the people who are listening know that Noovo in French means new, and so we want to bring a Noovo life, to bring a new life for our customers. And so you go on noovolife.com, and then we have plenty of events. So I was in Phoenix last week, 2 weeks ago. I'm going to Austin this weekend. We're going to be in San Juan Capistrano, south of Los Angeles, and Santa Rosa, north of San Francisco. So events is also a good way to see and feel the vans that are nice to see. And also I like to go to these kind of events because you have lots of competitors. And I know that we're the best company in the country. So you can compare and see that, yes, we are the best company in the country.
I love that so much. And I mean, again, I got to come back to just like your enthusiasm, your energy, your big smile, and your clear like love for this. Like, this isn't just something like, this isn't a product that you're just selling as a salesperson. I mean, your whole life and your heart is in this thing, and it really shines. Paul, I wonder, like, for people that are listening that are like inspired by your enthusiasm and this whole origin story of just kind of like following your heart for travel, but then, you know, you turn this into this amazing business. Like, what advice do you have for people that kind of like feel the beginnings of that sort of adventure spirit, but maybe not quite there in terms of like trusting themselves and going for it?
It's funny you're asking me that, because it's always difficult to give an advice. And this week I heard an advice from Bernard Arnault, who is the owner of LVMH, so one of the richest guy in the world, and he said, the best advice I can give you is don't listen to advice. So I think this is what I'm going to stay for. Is I think it's so complicated when you're doing a company. Same, Steve Jobs said that if you're not passionate, it is not possible to be an entrepreneur. It's too difficult. It's too stressful. You don't sleep well. But if every morning, I like to say, every night I like to go to bed just for one reason, to wake up and start working again. Is I think you need to really find a path that is not money is not enough. Of course, money is what fuel you and feed you, and you need to have money. But I think that what really, really matters is that if you every morning you are happy to talk to a customer, if you every morning you're happy to talk to a non-happy customer that calling you because there is leaks in his van or whatever, and you try to find every possibility to find a solution. If you have this strength that nothing can kill you, then it's great. And then, to be very honest, you need to find good partners. I don't know how these guys, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Bernard Arnault, they can do it by themselves. For me, they are aliens. I so need to have these business partners with me, because they are very good. I always say that I'm very thankful that I've met them, because everything is impossible by yourself. If you have someone that you can count on it, you know that he's going to do everything for you, you know that he's going to fight for you, and you can have these discussions that are open-minded discussions. That's for me. So don't listen advice, be passionate, and find good co-founders.
Well, and with regards to what you just talked about, your co-founders, your partners, you and I, before we hit the record button, we're talking about this a little bit. These are not just co-partners, these are friends. And that's been a big part of your journey. So I don't know if you want to just touch on that, like what it's like to be able to work with friends.
Imagine with Benoit, it's been since 2017, we are living together. That's for our wives are very happy about it. The room is, I spend more time with Benoit than anything else in the world in the last 7 years. And it's not all the time an easy task. I like to say that you cannot lose a brother. Your brother will be your brother no matter what. You can lose a friend. So it's a very, very thin relationship that you don't want to break, because you know the value of it. We have one picture that we like with Ben, that is two old guys with a big beard. They are maybe 80, 90 years old. They have a beer in the hand. They are inside a school bus, and they have like goal reached. And that's what our objective is, not to be the richest on the planet, to be the whatever you want, is to be inside Natasha, 80 years old, with a beer, and say, we did it. We are still friends, and we did all these crazy adventures. Then I think that working with friends, it's bringing something that for us, most of the people say you won't be friends after that. But we know this, and we have that in our mind, that it's a very, very fragile relationship. So we are very frank. We don't put ego in between us. We have few sentences that are prohibited. I told you. You can't say I told you. What does it mean? I told you it won't work. Okay, and so what? Let's move on. I told you it's something you can't. And that's something I think ego is the worst enemy in this kind of situation. You have to accept that they can think differently, they can bring different ideas, they can bring different point of view. And this is why it's so unique to work with your best friends. And then we like to fight all the time, but we say, if we fight for one subject, you have to have the ability to stop talking about this subject and talk about something else. But we fight every week. You can name it. We insult ourselves, and but the hour after, okay, how can we solve these problems? And that's what problem solving all the time.
That's great wisdom. I love this. I love the prohibiting the phrase "I told you." That's great. I love that.
And what do you do? And so what? You told me that was not a good way to talk to customer. You told me that we will lose him. Okay, we lost him. What do we do to make it happen again? Not happen again. Okay, let's move forward.
Yeah.
So that's something it's important, I think. And one last thing also is to have. I like to say that they're kind of. When I look at Antoine and Benoit, I'm thankful that they accept to work with me, because they are so good in their field. But so good. And I'm talking about, for example, Antoine was a professional rugby player, a chef in a 3-star restaurant, a very high cabinet maker for a luxury palace in Paris. And he said, yeah, I want to work with you guys. And now if I show you the van inside, it's just insane. There is no problems with him, only solutions. And that's just, it makes your life easier when you have someone with you that is like that.
It's amazing. You guys are tops, and you're putting together a great product. Hey, there's a question I have to ask that I'm going to be very remorseful if I don't. We've got Natasha, we've got Barbara. Where do the names come from?
I'm not sure you want to know. So now, Natasha, I'm gonna let the people who are listening to us to look at a very, very weird Belgian movie called Dickeneck. So you have to watch Dickeneck and you will understand Natasha. I cannot say it here. But,
Very good. Enough
and
said. Okay. Speaking of movies, Paul, like your story is epic. I mean, I just imagine you driving around in this hotel on wheels and then the creation of Noovo and everything you've done. At some point, Hollywood is going to want to make a story and a movie about this whole thing. And I want to know when they do, who's going to be the Hollywood actor that's going to play you in this story?
we need someone who has a very strong French accent for sure. So there is one that Americans know a bit because he won an Oscar. It's called Jean Dujardin.
Nice. Okay.
And he's the only French male who won the Oscar, and I think he would be perfect.
I love it. Okay, he's going to play you. And what's your movie going to be called?
There's one that I like that it was already used by a couple who tried to do this trip. They call it Expedition of Happiness, but I think it's going to be more like Meeting the Happiness.
Meeting the Happiness. Okay. I love it. This is going to be amazing. Paul, thank you so much for your energy, your enthusiasm, and spending time with me today. It's been so much fun. And for those listening, I hope you've been inspired today as much as I have. I hope Paul's story has encouraged you to listen to the voice inside that calls you to adventure, because we want to hear your story next. If you have a story to tell or just need a nudge to create one, please send me an email. We'd also appreciate it if you'd help us spread the word, and by leaving a review and sharing or tagging Inspire Campfire in your social media. And until next time, I want to encourage you to get outside. Thanks for listening. Paul, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye, guys.